What would you like to see change in your life? And what is the biggest obstacle that you're facing now? I run 2 programs called Inner Knowing and Good Life Designed for serious individuals who are ready to take the next step in their personal and professional lives. I will personally be coaching a small group of individuals on tools and frameworks for creating an intuitive practice and for creating self mastery in their life. As someone who's helped countless entrepreneurs open doors of possibility that they never thought existed, I've seen these strategies transform people's lives. The best part is that you'll 10x your output, unlock your creative genius. I'll work with you weekly to overcome your limiting beliefs. I'll teach you how to create clarity, processes, develop your intuition, and set a new framework on how to live your best life. And you'll get access to guided meditations that I have personally created that are not available anywhere else. We'll create a new self concept that you can practice moving forward. This method is so effective that even if you don't have a lot of time or if you think you're not ready for a change, these frameworks and methodologies will still work for you. You can check out the link in the show notes to join the waiting list, and you can also check out what some of the previous clients had to say about our time together. It's first come, first serve, and I hope to see you there. Hi, my name is Yasmin Tarehi, and this is Gateways to Awakening, where we host one-on-one conversations with leading experts in wellness, well-being, and spirituality. On today's episode, I'll be speaking with Liana Chaouli. Liana is the president and founder of Image Therapists International, a globally recognized thought leader, style sage educator, public speaker, and formally trained couture designer. Liana developed the process of image therapy, which provides transformation through the empowerment of language, action, and wardrobe to shift debilitating self-beliefs and renew confidence. She spent 4 decades consulting CEOs, celebrities, and political figures on matters of self-image, and she believes everyone should feel like the most beautiful version of themselves. And I'm so excited to welcome her to the show. Welcome to the show, Liana.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and have this really powerful conversation, empowering and a conversation full of powerfulness. That's what this really is. And that's, the most important. I think for me, it's always been the most important dream since I was a child. Like to see that people can look at something, hear something, listen to something, gain some information, and then put it into their basket and grow.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That's what you do. And so I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, well, for those who can't see Liana, she is just an incredible, beautiful, beautiful woman who has such incredible style. So check her out if you have folks are able to go into Google and put Liana Chaouli and check out who she is. She's a great personality. So to kick it off, Liana, why is our image so important?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Well, we are judging animals, all of us. We are different. Even in the animal kingdom, animals judge. They judge by how strong is another animal, another mammal. It's not just mammals; it's every animal does it. And we are the king and the queens of doing that. We look at another person, and our brain immediately decides certain things. You can call it bias, you can call it experience, you can call it um, path of living, you can call it whatever you want, but we all have it. And the truth is that wherever you go, there you are. We don't show up in the world without everything that we have in our basket. We bring our thoughts, our ideas, our vision, our fears, our joy, our bliss inside of this body, inside of this, what I call your masterpiece. And we look at another person, that's the first thing we do, even though what we really do is we first smell them, but our sense of smell is not as keen as a dog's or an animal. So the first thing we do is we look. And inside of that gazing at another, looking at another, we don't see one another. We're just looking at another person. And there's a lot of judgment there. I always say the first sister you see in the mirror is yourself. And my invitation to all of us kicking this call off is seek your sister's greatness rather than her guilt.
Mm.
Seek your brother's greatness rather than his guilt. So that goes straight along with the judging. We look at ourselves, and instead of seeing ourselves, be proud of your assets, not ashamed of your flaws is a phrase that I coined many, many years ago, 40 years ago, because our assets are the most powerful gift that we have. They're not assets that money can buy. Kindness, compassion, love, curiosity, vulnerability, those are not assets that we can buy. And sometimes or often we don't see those immediately. So we go by the outside. So image relates to, can we take the inside of who you are? Can we take all of your greatness, all of your deliciousness, and can we put it into the outside packaging? So that when you walk into a room, you don't have to do a lot of talking. People just look at you and they go, wow, whatever she's got or whatever he's got, I want that. So that you become the offer instead of making the offer.
Hmm.
And that's a really powerful space to be. So that when I say to people, let me undress your spirit so we can dress your body accordingly, what I mean by that is most people use clothing as armor. They don't use it as a frame. They don't use it as a tool. And it is a tool. It's a tool. Clothing, wardrobe, accessories is a tool to bring out the most beautiful parts of your masterpiece so that the inner and the outer blueprint are aligned.
Hmm. Wow, that's so powerful. Liana, I mean, I think a lot of people have a lot of difficulty with understanding what actually makes their image look good and also if they can actually be authentic with their image. So, why do so many people get their image wrong?
Well, that's a fantastic question, and so I would like to just rephrase that statement. People don't get it wrong. People don't know what they don't know. Like if you don't know what a mango tastes like, you don't know that you want one. If you don't know how delicious it is and how much vitamin C it has and how fragrant it is, why would you want one? You'd think it's a little tiny football. You'd look at it and you go, I wonder what that is. That looks weird, you know? So when you don't know what you don't know, and when you don't know what you don't know that's inside of you, that we weren't raised in the palms of our parents' hands and our parents going, you, my beautiful child, are the most gorgeous, beautiful expression of the divine that there ever was. We weren't born like that. We weren't raised like that. Were you? I wasn't. And people who are listening, they'll go, oh my God, did she come to my house? Was she there when I was a child? Yes, because our parents didn't know any better either. Okay. So we weren't raised to look at ourselves and see ourselves in the light of being a masterpiece. And so we have questions, and we question our bodies, and we question our abilities, and we question our heart, and we question our choices. And even if we don't question those choices, at the bottom of the barrel inside of us, most of us have this, really, am I really good enough? Okay. So the am I really good enough then goes to, oh, I should hide this, or I should do that, or, this is what fashion is telling me. Everyone's getting so many mixed messages. Yasmin, everyone. Fashion says one thing, hair color says the other thing, makeup says this thing, your grandmother tells you to dress like that, your uncle says to dress like this, you shouldn't be showing boobage, you shouldn't be. So there shoulda, woulda, coulda, lots of ideas, and no one really comes to you and says, listen, sweetheart, this is who you are. This is what your body type is. These are your proportions. These are your ratios. This is your coloring. This is your eye color is brown. Your hair is fairly blonde. Your skin color is pink. So the things that look great on you is this array of possibility. No one teaches us that. That's why I created image therapy 40 years ago, because people didn't know what they didn't know. And the path between the bud and the blossom of who you have the possibility to be, right? Imagine a bud and then imagine a blossom. What leads to that blossoming is the learning and the understanding of self. Just like you learn about what's good for you in food, just like you learn about exercise, just like you learn about how much sleep you need. But no one teaches us about these bodies that we have, these amazing, magnificent masterpieces that are capable, way more capable than an iPhone ever will be, or an AI. And no one comes and says, you know what? Yeah, you've got a little round belly. You don't have a tiny waist. You have a beautiful booty. You have a D cup size, or you're a tall gentleman with a long neck and a small head, but you're 6'3". No one comes and defines it for us and says, let me give you the tools so you can understand your body, not your mother's, not your sister's, not your uncle's, but yours. And so I created a system where you can physically learn the tangible pieces of who you are. But before you even do that, meaning hair, skin, eyes, body proportion, shoe size, what do you look like from the side? What do you look like from the front? But before you even do that, your spirit. Because by the time you start learning this stuff or you get out of college, we've already established barriers and boundaries and lockages and armor. No, they can't know this. No, they can't know that. But if they do this, if I do that, then I'm going to be judged, you know? We all have that.
Right. So, Liana, so tell us a little bit about image therapy. How does it work? I mean, how do we get started when we're looking at our own image?
Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to actually really see. You don't want to just look in the mirror. You want to look in the mirror and then go deep. Stop hiding, because we hide in front of ourselves too. I have this exercise that Jack Canfield and I, when we were doing this work together, we have this naked exercise. So if somebody says to me, so how do I start this? I'm like, well, have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror, truly looked, and then stayed long enough to see what's there? Okay. If we're hiding from ourselves and we don't want to go into the mirror or we don't want to see ourselves, how do we expect other people to see us? So look at yourself and see, what's your hair color? What's your eye color? What does your smile do when you smile? What do you look like from the side? What happens between your neck and your chest? What's going on with your skin? Did you know that from the top of your forehead to the middle of your chest and your décolleté, you have about 45 different colors of skin tone?
Hmm.
Did you know that your hair has at least 15 colors in it if you haven't dyed it? Did you know that every piece of movement that you make, that your body makes, creates an expression of love or bliss or tenderness or anger inside someone else, because we're all sensing animals and we read each other by our body language? So the first thing you want to do is you want to learn about your own body. You want to see how you walk. You want to see how much room you take up in the world. A Japanese geisha doesn't take up any room in the world, okay? She's very contained. But an Italian mama making pizza or pasta in the kitchen, nothing contained about that. Then you want to hear, what's your voice like? So you've been listening to my voice. Well, if I sounded like this, I'd be a very different person, right? For those of you who are going online and you're looking at my picture. So people don't realize, you're laughing because you know what I look like. You know, people don't realize that there are dimensions of you. There's color, there's movement, there's your gait, there's your gaze, there's your voice, there's your ability to project your voice or keep it very quiet and still to yourself. There's your ability to take up a lot of space in the room, which many people, especially women, have a hard time doing. They don't want to take up space because we've been told we're supposed to sit on the back of the room. So, what is your normal? And then look at that normal and invite it to be here with grace and joy and bliss. Nothing about you has to change. Nothing. There's nothing wrong with any human being. We are all here with our own voice. We are a note in the divine symphony of the world.
Mm.
When you hide a note in a concert, the concert doesn't sound the same. So no more hiding.
I love it. We all need to show ourselves more, and I think that you touched on so many points here that many of us are just not looking at ourselves, like really looking at ourselves and knowing what we're working with, and also just being unapologetic of who we are and how we want to represent ourselves in the public. And I do
Mhm.
find it's very confusing to know where to start and to know where to look, and I think we all know intuitively when we're wearing something that we know we look good in and that we know we feel good in, right? And the analogy that I oftentimes use is like if I wear a dress and I just feel so good in it, and I wear it all the time versus like another one that I might not feel as good in it. I might have to ask people for their opinion.
Mhm.
I might need a lot of reassurance, and I just end up not wearing those types of outfits, right?
Right.
But I think like what you said is like we don't know what we don't know, and so we might still feel like we're feeling really good in this outfit, but yet maybe it's actually not the best representation of the clay that we're sort of given in life. And so, by the way, I'm going to ask later in the show, and this was very did not mention this to you. I would love, since you know me and since we've connected a couple times, what advice you'd give me
Oh,
as
I
like.
would love to.
Okay.
Yeah, and the people who know you will know exactly what I'm talking about. By the way, what you just mentioned is a very important piece of this. You said, "I love it, but, maybe it's not great for me." So this is when I say, "You love the outfit, but does it love you?"
Mm.
That's the question. Because if it doesn't love you back, it's like a bad boyfriend or girlfriend in your bed. It shouldn't be in your closet, and it shouldn't be in your bedroom. It shouldn't be in your life. But people don't get that. Like they'll go, "Oh, but I love it." And I'm like, really? If you love it that much, but it walks in a half an hour before you do and leaves the party an hour after you and is completely drunk because that's all people remember. "Oh, did you see that woman in that big flower dress? I mean, what was her name? I don't know. But did you see those flowers? Oh my God, those were so ugly." You know, this is what people do is like that you might love something. Like, I love whatever, sweets or mashed potatoes with a lot of butter and cream. Yeah, but you know what? They don't love me as much as I love them. Because I might as well just, like, put it on my hips, not have it on my lips, right? So clothing is the same. Like, you can say, "I'm really attracted to this." And so the process of image therapy, when people come and do this work with me, in groups especially, and for those of you who are listening, you can learn this. This is a learnable skill. Dressing is an embodied action that is a learnable skill. Don't give me any of this, "I didn't get the style gene." Don't tell me I didn't get the girl gene. Don't tell none of that. Okay? For 40 years I've been doing this, and I know people who couldn't even look at a piece of clothing and go, "Yeah, this works." Meaning they had no zero skills that are now dressing themselves with empowerment and style and confidence, and there's a system, there's a learning. So this whole question about, well, it I love it. When people say to me, "I love it," we take that apart. Like, Yasmin, you've said to me, "I love this dress." We were together somewhere and you said, "I love this dress because it's comfortable." So dressing is not about how you look. Comfort and the deliciousness of dressing shows up on your face in a smile. Most people that start this work with me, they go, "Oh, you're going to put me into something that I'm going to feel really uncomfortable in?" I'm like, "Why would I ever do that?" Like, I dress people for the Oscars and wedding dresses and gowns and sexy things and suits and business attire. And the first and foremost, most important thing is that you feel so good in the outfit. I don't want you to look at it. I don't want you to look at yourself in the mirror. I just want you to tell me, how does it feel? So when a client comes on stage or we're in a workshop and she or he puts something on, I say, close your eyes and just tell me how it feels. And when you open your eyes and you look at the audience, they will be your mirror. You don't need a physical mirror. What you need is your own reflection on the inside about how the sensation is. And then how do people look at you? They go, and most people, when I ask someone to put something on, they come out or they're in a workshop, most people just go, oh, wow. And the person who's wearing it, not only do they have a lot of judgment because they saw the piece, right? And in their mind, most people cannot put together, what are you kidding? You want me to put that on? And then they go begrudgingly, they put it on, they come out, and then the audience gasps. And the person who's standing on stage with a new outfit usually has tears in their eyes and says, I can't believe this really looks good on me. And then when they go look in the mirror and they get evidence for the gasping of the audience, it's even harder for them to take in. I had a very powerful actress who was in my studio, and this was at the end of her day with me, her VIP day with me. I put a dress on her. It's the last thing. In skin tone, really gorgeous. I went and got her a glass of water. I come back out and she's sobbing. The dress is all wet within 3 minutes. And I'm like, honey, what's going on? And she said, she's standing 6 feet away from the mirror and she says to me, Liana, I cannot believe that that image in the mirror, that beautiful woman, is actually me standing here. I'm not that beautiful. And the truth is, I can tell you 40 years of doing this work, we all have a version of that. And the hardest thing for me as an image therapist, the place where I hold space the most, is in the disbelief of a client. That's where I have to get bigger because their belief system asks them to shrink back into the I'm less than, to shrink back into the hiding, to shrink back behind the armor. Because imagine, Yasmin, if someone's lived their life for 40 years, not gone to parties, not accepted jobs, not accepted dates, not done a lot of things because of the belief system that they have about themselves, right? Then they come to this work and then someone shows them the magnificence of who they are. There's a lot of things that converge in that moment. One of them is, oh my God, I've lied to myself for most of my adulthood. I created this negative image of myself. Or I took on the belief systems of my mother, my cousins, my uncle, society, hair dye industry, beauty industry, fitness industry, whatever, Vogue, and I allowed it to grow inside me as a disbelief of me being a masterpiece. And then people have to come to terms with that. I've had 80-year-old women sitting in my workshops who cried and sobbed and said, where were you when I was 20? Liana, why is this not being taught in high schools and at the beginning of colleges so that our next generation doesn't have to go through all the negativity and all the armoring and all the I'm not good enoughness of what we went through?
Right. Right. Yeah, that's so powerful, Liana. I'm so grateful for this work. And I think it's a mindset shift, really, because I think a lot of people don't actually have this perception of themselves and also how important image is when we go out in public, especially if
Mm.
we're busy and we don't we don't prioritize it, right? um,
Why
right.
do people not prioritize it? So this is always my question, Yasmin. It's like, oh no, my book cover. Oh, my website. Oh, I've got to go and I'm too rushed, And I say, wait a second, wherever you go, there you are. You should never be the last. You should always be the first. Always and in all ways. Look, there's a thing that I teach that comes from Kabbalah, that I need to fill my own vessel up. Okay? If my vessel is full, I can give of my saucer. Don't ever give of your cup. Give from your overflow. Not taking care of yourself, the way you dress, the way you take care of your body, the way you take care of your teeth, your sensuality, your private parts, your home, your bed sheets. I don't care. The candles, the kind of coffee you drink, whatever it is that has to do with you, because you are the masterpiece, the center focal point in your life. You are the antenna. You are the offer. Why would you come last? How does that fulfill the world's passion? It doesn't, because you're always lagging behind.
Thank
I
you so
get
much,
very
Leah.
excited. I get very
I love it.
passionate about this stuff. I
No, I
know.
love it. I love it. It's such an important. It's so important. I mean, it's really. I'm very moved by the way that you're expressing the importance of image. Liana, I want to actually take us to your childhood,
Mm.
because I know that your childhood and also your family really shaped the way that you came into this world, and probably catalyzed, right, this
Mm.
career in image therapy.
It didn't catalyze it. I mean, my mother, who is today my biggest supporter and who I've had, my mother has been my biggest teacher, and my mother is the one whom I attribute this work to, because without her, none of this would be happening. And people say to me, "How long have you been doing this work?" I say, "My whole life," and I didn't even know where that came from. And then one time, I was teaching at an image consultants. It was a huge, like, year, the main culmination of the year, and I was the keynote speaker. And my mother at the time was close to where I was speaking. I was in Washington, and she came and she said, "I want to hear you speak. I've never heard you speak." And I had a very difficult relationship with my mother. I'm the oldest of three, and was always the one taking care of my siblings. My mother wasn't really well when we were children, and so she comes and she is inside the breakout session after the keynote, and the breakout session was super full and standing room only. And I just asked people, "Can you please go up to the microphone at the end?" Because I was teaching a workshop on how to make off the rack clothing look and feel like custom to image consultants, because I was the only couture designer. And what was interesting was a woman goes up to the microphone and she starts talking, and I almost had a heart attack because it was my mother. She says, "I don't have a question, but I have a comment." And my heart almost stopped. I'm like, oh my God, what is she going to say? Because we had a very, very difficult relationship. And she says, when I was a young woman, my 2.5, 3-year-old daughter would go into my closet and play. And I was in bed with the covers over my head because I was so sick. And she would go and pull on the dress until the hanger broke. She'd get the hat, the shoes, the glasses, the makeup, the gloves, the everything to match. She'd lay it out all on the bed that I was lying in. And then she'd come and she'd pull the covers off my face. And the best she could, she'd say, "Mommy, please get dressed. Because when you get dressed, you're going to feel better and you're going to feel happy and beautiful. And then we can go out and have fun together." And she continued by saying, "I was so sick that I could not follow my daughter's invitation." And as a child, she already knew what was right for the world and what was right for you. I couldn't follow her invitation, but you can, because the same little girl that dressed me is standing at the front of your room today, and she taught you everything she knows. And I know how good she is at what she does because I was her first client.
Mm.
It's because of my mother that I go up to women on the street and I go, please let me help you. It doesn't have to be like this. Literally. People think I'm crazy when I do that. They say, what? I go up to people and I just like grab their hand and I'm like, you can't buy that black dress. Don't buy that black dress. So much so that I stopped a woman at Macy's and I said, you can't do that, right? 15 years later, I'm speaking at a private event in someone's home. There's 30 women in the room. I'm done with my presentation. This woman comes up and she says, oh my God, Liana, I finally found you. It's my son's birthday today. And I'm like, okay, great. That's nice. What does that have to do with clothing? And she says, 16 years ago, you stopped me at Macy's. I was buying a black dress. You ripped it out of my hand. You went across the floor. You got me a purple and a teal dress. You made me go to the cash register and buy them. I went home. It was our wedding anniversary. My husband and I never left the house because I wore the purple dress. And 9 months later, my son was born. And that purple dress, after 16 years, is still hanging in my closet. And I had no idea who you were, and I didn't know how to thank you. So here I am thanking you in person.
Oh, wow.
And this happens all the time, Yasmin. And it's not that I want to say, this isn't me, because all I am is the conduit for a divine message, for God's message to show you and to remind you of how amazing you are. And to stop using clothing as armor, to stop hiding, to allow your beauty to shine. People say to me, well, why do we hide? And I have one very important thing that I want to say. This is like, if you don't take anything from this podcast today, this is what I want you to remember. We hide because we're judged. But here's the reason why we really hide. Imagine wherever you go, whether you go to the bathroom in a club or whether you go to the supermarket or your dentist or you're in traffic and someone's looking at you, no one will ever forget you. You will, for the rest of your life, be unforgettable. Can you even imagine a world like that? Because what that brings with it is incumbent upon you to act at your highest self. You can't say, oh, I'm not going to the party, even though I said, yes, I'm going. You can't back out. You can't be late. You can't act from your lower self because no one will forget you. And what that means in turn means you have to keep showing up at a very high level. You have to be present. You have to be conscious. You have to act from your higher self, even though you'd like to be mediocre because it's more comfortable. You won't be able to do it. And I think that's why people hide.
Fascinating.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's really so much. There's so much to unpack here. I mean, yeah. So I think I love that idea of just always operating from your highest self. And it actually reminds me, my mom has been a big proponent of me always dressing up. And I had this one moment where I had gone through like this knee surgery and she came to take care of me. This is many years ago now. And we were going to go to the hospital to check in with the doctor. And she's like, you're not wearing that, are you? And I said, well, I have a cast over my knee and I'm like limping and I'm on crutches. And she was like, she said in her Middle Eastern accent, she's like, no, honey, we're going to dress you up. And I think I was wearing like some beautiful skirt, really beautiful blouse with my crutches. And it was like a reminder of, I think, all the like who I was without
Mm.
the surgery. And when I walked into the doctor's office, they were like, "You are the best dressed post ACL patient we've ever seen."
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah.
Yasmin, that's the thing I have thousands of stories like this. Thousands. There's a gentleman that saw me speak at a consultants convention, also another keynote, lots of people, thousands of people in the room. And the next morning, he's sitting with his wife next to me at breakfast. And he said, "Oh, you were the speaker yesterday?" And I said, "Yes." He's dressed up in a fairly simple, dirty T-shirt, right, with shorts and flip-flops. And his wife sitting next to him. This is me, the gemologist, now speaking. His wife is sitting across from him next to me. And I look, and she's got this 15-carat amazing diamond on her finger, set in a gorgeous setting. And she's all dressed up, and there are two complete opposites. And I look at him and I say, "Yeah, did you enjoy that talk yesterday?" And he says, "Yeah, but I would never put $15,000 into my wardrobe. I'd much rather put that money into my plane." And out of my mouth, without even, prompting, came, I said to him, "So let me ask you something. That ring on your beautiful wife's finger, you didn't just go, and buy that in the store. I'm sure you went to De Beers and you ask them to find a really good, it's a pear shape, it's a 15-carat pear shape, that's a beautiful stone." He goes, "How did you know?" I'm like, "Because I can see jewelry and I know a little bit about stones." And I said, "And then you went, and you most probably went to Van Cleef and Arpels or Harry Winston, and you had them set it." He says, "You're right, I did, it was custom." And I said, "And then you most probably wrapped it up in a beautiful box, and then you wrapped up your beautiful woman and you put her on your private plane and you took her to a wonderful location, and then you proposed to her." He goes, "Oh my God, were you there?" I said, "No, but I can see that this is something you would do." And he goes, "You're right." And I said, "Let me ask you something. If you do that much with a piece of rock that comes out of the ground that you're giving to her, why wouldn't you do it with you? You are the biggest gift in her life. Why would you not wrap yourself up and elevate yourself to the level of magnificence, just like you did with that stone? Because that stone isn't worth anything to her if you're not around. You are the gift, not the stone." And he started crying. This big ass burly man started sobbing, and he says, "Wow, you just gave me a whole other view of living." And 2 weeks later, I was in his closet in their Aspen home, and he gutted his whole closet. He got a beautiful wardrobe. And so, what it is like people don't know what they don't know.
Right. Wow.
And there are thousands of stories like this.
That's
Yes.
amazing. Amazing. I'm so moved by all these stories. I feel like you're like the image therapist, fairy godmother, like just really helping people relate to each other differently too.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So this work gets done. I do this work in small workshop, big workshops, year-long programs, and corporations as team building, as changing the bottom line for the corporation. Because what happens is when you start to see behind the armor of another person, right? When they allow you to see them, there is so much connection, Yasmin. There is no more anger. There's no more hiding. There's no more bias gets lessened. Everything inside of who you are starts to becoming much more accepting. And that's really hard for people to even, they can't wrap their mind around it. So thank you for saying what you just said. Yes, it's connection building. It's
Hmm.
connection building because you start to build a different relationship to the relationship that you have with yourself. And in turn, it changes the relationship to the relationship you have with others.
So, Liana, I want to dive into some of the ways that folks can maybe, one sort of takeaway for them to start tomorrow morning when they look at their closet or, when they start their day. Like, what is like one thing that they could do differently tomorrow?
The first thing you can do differently, the most important thing you can do differently is you can write down all the things that you're saying to yourself that I would say you're not allowed to talk about my client like that. So when people come to me and they're like, "Oh no, my ass is too big," or "No, my boobs are blah, 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 blah," all those things, write them down. Write 5 of them down and have them look back at you on the page. the things that are less than. And then turn those statements into things that are amazing, because those are contractions. So language is the most important part of creation. Okay? So when I say to you, I don't need anything, or versus I have everything that I need, those both mean the same thing. Okay? One is a contraction, the other one is an expansion. A client of mine said to me the other day, I clean toilets for a living. I said, can we just reframe that? How about you make people's lives more beautiful? So when you're writing down the things that are negative about yourself, I implore you and invite you to turn them around into something that's a really positive statement. You can say, I'm fat. A lot of people tell themselves they're fat. My body is strong and beautiful. I'm healthy. There are people in countries where they're emaciated. So we have to start talking about ourselves in a more high level and respectful way to change the synapses in our brain. So that's the first thing I would do, is to
Amazing.
start finding your assets. Be proud of your assets, not ashamed of your flaws. That is, my team started building Lianaisms, a Lianaism page. And so that's one of the first that came out 40 years ago.
I love
The other one,
that.
the other one is, you love the outfit, does it love you? You're a masterpiece,
I love that.
Marianne Williamson says it, there's nothing enlightening about shrinking. Nothing.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was talking to another guest the other day. It was like, the universe is expanding, right? And yet, we are choosing to
We shrink.
we shrink, just like we're going against the flow of nature. So,
That's right.
yeah. Liana, I want to ask if you could give, I can be your case study on
Case
this call.
study. Yes, let's keep you as a case study. Let's do you as a case study.
Yeah. And I think, just to give people maybe some context, I'm Middle Eastern, long brunette, brown hair. I'm a brunette, brown eyes. I think you could probably find a picture of me on my social media account. But yeah, I'd be curious, what are the steps that you would go through in terms of advice? And since you know me, what would be? And
so I can be completely open.
Well, I don't know.
She's like, oh my God, what is she going to say? So I'm gonna ask you questions which you don't have to answer, and they're not even questions; they're reflections. Okay, and then you can agree with them or you can disagree with them. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, so I see who you are as a very expressive human being. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
You're expressive and curious.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
You are also a woman who is balanced in her feminine and masculine. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay. So the thing that I see about you that's the absolute it's like the twinkle in your being is that your curiosity doesn't have boundaries.
Mm.
And the fact that your curiosity doesn't have boundaries, it's like you're constantly coming to the table and going, what about this? And how about that? And oh my God, I love this. Did I get you right?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Okay. So that's a huge part of who you are. Okay. And that your you-ness cannot get taken out of that. So I can't just put you into clothing that looks like, an Ann Taylor suit. I can't just put you into something that's dry and too masculine or too feminine or too in a box. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work because it doesn't develop and show the world all the facets of you. You have a sense of whimsy. So tell me if you agree with that. Are you whimsical?
Like dreamy? Like, is that what
No,
whimsical?
whimsical, like fun. Like I would put you into a really a fluid summer dress that has like a little bit of an open neckline, maybe a 3/4 sleeve, something that flows on the bottom. And then I would give you these very cool cowboy boots, vintage, most probably vintage cowboy boots, with really big, interesting earrings. Most probably I would do better dressing you in things that are partly vintage because they bring a story with it, a story that reflects who you are. And it doesn't all have to be Middle Eastern because the facets of who you are worldly. They're not just, I mean, you and I are both Middle Eastern.
Right.
Yet the sense of whimsy that you carry and your curiosity and your playfulness shows up very different than mine. So people are going to go and they're going to look at our pictures. You you have and you're always going to be this until you're 104, God willing. That's not going to go away. So if I had to put you into a gown, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be a much bigger and more interesting challenge than to put you into your day wear.
Interesting.
Because Elizabeth Taylor versus Goldie Hawn, okay? Elizabeth Taylor, that would be like, say, me, and Goldie Hawn would be you. Like, I could put you into a funky gold leather jeans jacket with a really huge Indian taffeta skirt and then these really cool cowboy boots, with some funky writing on it. And that's how you'd go to the Oscars.
That's so funny.
But I wouldn't
So
put you into
true.
some really boring, you know, Carolina Herrera evening gown that doesn't reflect all the facets of you.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Wow. I'm super impressed. I feel like you totally see me. Because I think a lot of people can pick up one side or the other. And I've often felt very confused about, I can go
Yeah.
hyper feminine or I can be, you dress kind of like functional for the day. But I really love dressing up in big colors and the big earrings, kind of like the
Yes. So
juxtaposition
I
between,
got
yeah,
you.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just,
I'm so
and
glad.
Goldie Hawn is so like my person, like the personality that I think resonates
Your
very
alter
closely.
ego.
Oh, totally. Yeah. She and I are very similar.
Look at that. So we totally, to your listeners, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is not rehearsed. This is what happens all the time. And I'm not even, Yasmin, I really want you to know that I am not taking credit for this. This is a complete download. And it happens all the time. I'm in awe of the fact that the channel is open and what comes through lands with you so that I can serve you.
Yeah.
Do you see what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? That's why for 3 years of not being able to be with people has been heartbreaking for me. Absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because I want to give this to the world and I want to do it like you and I are doing it on the radio. We're not even visual and can you see what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
I love it. Liana, I'm so excited to share your work with the world. So we're going to talk about that at the very end, but we're sort of coming at time and I want to make sure that, I learn a little bit more about looking back on your journey. What would you
Mhm.
say has kind of surprised you the most, when you look at humanity and where image therapy is going?
Well, I'll tell you what surprises me the most is that we're still not in a place to acknowledge one another. That's still a very lacking condition, a very lacking human condition. You know, we always think we're islands and you're over there and I'm over here and there's a wall between us. Whether it's between countries, whether it's between people, whether it's between races, and that breaks my heart. I created this work 40 years ago because I wanted to uncover a billion stars. And the reason and this is the biggest reason, so I'm going to tell you my huge vision, is that I believe in world peace. And peace does not start on the borders of our country, it starts inside my own heart. When I can be at peace with myself, because I coined the phrase, I am the masterpiece who masters peace, then I can be at peace with myself, and then I can walk into a situation and be completely content with who I am, and you can see it, and maybe you'll go, oh my God, she really likes herself. Maybe I can learn how to do that. And because she likes herself, she likes other people. And we are lessening the judgment. So what saddens me and what keeps me going at the same time and what propels my work into the world is, let me come show you that this is actually possible. World peace is possible in my lifetime. So I am a part of the puzzle to world peace. Not I am. This work is. I'm just the conduit. I'm just the messenger.
Mm. Wow. I love that. I love that, Liana. I could talk to you all day. I mean, this is so
We'll do
great.
it again.
Yeah.
Yasmin, we'll do it again. We'll do part 2. And, people might have questions or, I mean, there's so much more to say about this, and we can go into different, into different domains. And the truth is that it all begins with you. So those of you who are listening to this, be gentle with yourself. Be loving with yourself. Be kind to yourself so that you can be kind unto others. When you want to say something nasty, write it down and turn it around, like Byron Katie says. Just write it down and try to turn it around. It's not that complicated. We are not that complicated. We are complex. We're not complicated. We all need to be seen, honored, acknowledged, and loved. And the first place it begins is with yourself.
Amen. Amen, Liana. What do you want to tell our listeners as a main takeaway? What's like the call to action?
There's a couple of I think that, did you get a link? Did we share a link with you?
Yes, I did. I got the link to, yeah.
Do you want to speak it? Because I don't have it right in front of me. I think that you guys can all learn about this, and there's a way to learn that is very powerful. You can start watching videos. You can come and connect with us on social media. You can go to my website, imagetherapist.com, and you can learn a lot. You can get a free video series at betheoffer.com. There's plenty of ways to connect with us, and I'd love hearing from all of you who are listening to this, because I want to see and hear how it landed for you. And I'm super accessible on TikTok, on social media, on my website. Yasmin,
Yeah. Yeah. And you also have a lot of really interesting videos online, and your course
at
is
YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube. And your course is, I don't have the exact link, but it's Virtual Style Academy. And there's all these incredible modules. I've just been really blown away. You call it like the process
Yes.
of the PhD in design of who you are.
It
which
is. It
I
is the
love.
PhD in design of who you are. So for those of you who want to jump right in, you can go online. You can sign up for the Virtual Style Academy. It's the virtualstyleacademy.com. For those of you who have questions, you can connect with me on my website, imagetherapist.com, or you can send me an email, liana@imagetherapists with an S at the end.com. And for those of you who want to get a free gift, go to betheoffer.com. Be the offer, betheoffer.com, and join us on this journey. It's a really, really fun ride, and I can't wait to meet all of you in person.
Thank you so much, Liana. It's such a pleasure to connect with you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and for inspiring us. And, I'm now going to go take a look at my closet after this conversation. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sweetheart.
And for our audience, thanks for joining and for listening. In this episode, we learned about how to gain confidence through your wardrobe with Liana Chaouli. And you can tune into Gateways to Awakening, where we host one-on-one conversations with leading experts in wellness, well-being, and spirituality. Thanks again.